next section, we're going to look at the widget desktop and the monitoring desktop. So this is the monitoring desktop. We have a couple other widgets in here. Down below you have the activity log again, which is the same as that that home page there, showing you the activity in the system. Some of the things you can do in here, obviously you can get a list of recent events in the system, but if you wanted to maybe take a look at somebody's record, you can click on their name right in the activity log. It will pull up their record. You can take a look. Maybe you want to look at their recent events. But we'll jump into this in the person page in a little bit. But you can click on the action icons in the activity log, and it will show you. So this right here is a duty log entry. It's showing you somebody type something in 12, 11, 18 duty log. So somebody typed an entry in, and then you can scroll down. You can click on video links. So this is a little video icon. So there's an event that has video associated with it. You click that icon. It should bring it up over here. In a moment. It's taking its time.
From this page, it shows up in those cameras on the right, but from the activity log, it'll pop up in a separate window there, right over the activity log.
Yep. So there's the recording. But you can also click on the time. Taking its time. What's that?
You locking it up?
I am. Somebody's locking it up. There we go. So what I did is I clicked on the time over here, and it should pop up the duty log entry. So you can put a note in. So here's the duty log entry. You can either type in a note. The event was, the door held open was caused by, somebody leaving the door open. You can type that in. Or there's a list here where you can predefine the responses that you type in. So you can generate this list as needed, but we can show you where you would do that.
Who's the jokester who put in Cowboys victory?
So I just put a duty log entry. It shows up in the log, and then you can see that duty log entry if you click on the icon. Up here is your threat level widget. So this is showing the current status of the system threat level. If you click on it, you can change that threat level. That's what I wanted to change it to low. I could change it to low. And then underneath is the portal unlock widget. So with that, you would select the door that you want to unlock. You have a few options underneath. One is to include that door or portal as a favorite. So you can create a list of favorites. So it's only showing you the doors that you want to see. It's not going to maybe show you all of them, but just the favorites. And then you can filter it based on your favorites. The next icon over to the right is what we call a momentary unlock. So if you clicked on that, the door or portal is going to open for the period of time that it's programmed for in the system. So it's called a momentary unlock because it's going to maybe open that door for a couple of seconds, and then it's going to lock up after that. So it's just enough time to let somebody go through. So if somebody's waiting at that door, you need to unlock it remotely, you can do that right here in the software. The next icon, the little lock button here, if you were to click that, it would unlock the portal, and that portal would stay unlocked until you went back in here and told it to lock. So that's called an unlock portal or a sustained unlock. So that the portal will stay unlocked until you go back in here and relock it. The next icon is the schedule. So you can create an override or an ad hoc schedule for a door. So if you had some meeting or event planned, you could put a schedule on that door. Right here you can push the schedule button, put the start and end time in here you want it unlocked, and then click OK. You can also you can also schedule it for a number of minutes. So if you want that door just to stay unlocked for 10 minutes, you can set the start time for now, and then you want to unlock for 5 minutes. You click OK, and then that door would unlock for that period of time. And then once the 5 minutes is up, it will go back to its normal state.
Can you set that for recurring days?
So this isn't where you would want to set up your normal door schedules. If you have doors you want normally unlocked for periods of time, so you want a door unlocked from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, this isn't where you would set those up. You would set those up with what we call a portal group, and then there's a time spec that we apply to that portal group, and then the doors will unlock during that 8 to 5 Monday through Friday based on that. This is where you would want to configure any override schedules that you might have. So you have something that's not
not typical.
Not typical.
Yeah, tour group
Right.
coming through.
You got a tour group.
Stay open for the next minute.
You got you have a meeting, you have, some after hours event or something like that, you wanna, have that door open. This is where you would do that.
Does that interfere with the threat level? So say you're locked down or you're at the highest threat level and you set that to unlock and it's your front door, that the front door will still unlock.
You can configure the portal to take action on these override schedules or not. So it's really based on how the portal is configured.
Okay.
If the portal is configured so that the scheduled actions don't activate during a threat level status, then this won't have any effect during certain threat levels.
Okay.
Or if you have this, maybe you have one of these already scheduled, right, and the threat level changes, you can have it lock that door based on that threat level change.
Okay.
Or not, depending on how your portal is configured. But that is configurable in the software, and it's based on what your needs are basically. Do you want that door to follow the scheduled override? If you put an override schedule, do you want that door to stay unlocked during the threat level, or do you not? It's really based on your requirements.
Nate, on this screen, on the previous screen where you have the lock and unlock icon
Yes.
there, how does that work with existing schedules? So if I were to lock the door, what happens when my next unlock schedule kicks in? Will it honor that?
It won't. So if you click unlock, of course this probably isn't a real portal, but if you click that unlock, it's gonna stay unlocked until you go back in there and tell it to lock.
Okay.
The only time that's going to change is if you have the portal programmed with a threat level, and that threat level change causes the change to the override. But otherwise, it's gonna stay unlocked until somebody comes back in and unlocks it.
I'm really jumping way ahead. and he's gonna get to this, but in user roles, you can take that icon away. So I've had customers that kept hitting that by accident, because it looks like an unlock, and they just think they're doing a momentary unlock, and they're doing the extended unlock.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no, they left and they couldn't, yeah, so you can go into the user roles and you can remove that ability for that person when they log in to have that icon appear.
Okay.
Hey,
Right.
he'll take you there, I'm just touching on that since you brought it up. That's a common.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good point. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these, especially with portal actions, are configurable based on the user role. So if you maybe don't want users to have the ability to, unlock that door, in a sustained fashion, you can take that privilege away based on their user role.
Can you do multiple portals at once with this ad hoc?
Not with this, but there is another way to do that, which I'll show you shortly. And just so everybody is aware, this is this icon here is the anticipated change if you click on it. So you can see it right now. The lock is showing that it's the hasp is showing that it's locked. So if you clicked on it, it's going to lock that portal. So I did tell it to unlock. So right now, if I click on that, it's going to lock that door again. So that does confuse some people when they look at that icon. Sometimes, depending on the user, it might confuse them with what that icon means. But if you click on it right now, it's going to lock that door.
If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it's gonna
Yeah.
do, but most people don't wanna hover, they just click.
Right, yeah, and you can see when I hover, it says lock portal, right? So if I click on it, that's what it's gonna do, it's gonna lock the door. And then down below here, we have 2 camera widgets. So here, you can select, your different cameras that are connected to your access control system, and you can take a look at the live view of that camera. Take a little time to come up. But you get the point. If you click on one of these cameras, it's gonna, show it in here once it loads. And I don't know if they're all connected or not, but. And also, if you click a camera icon in the activity log, it's going to show it over here on the monitoring desktop.
If they're configured for events to do like a recording and they're showing in the event log, are they stored anywhere on S2 or it's only just accessing that anytime from your video server?
Good question. So if you have, we haven't really touched on event configuration yet, but if you have an event configured to record video based on that event, maybe you have a door forced open. When that door forced open occurs, you want it to record video so you know what happened when you go to review that event. The S2 system will send a notification to that video system to record the video, and will bookmark a link for that recording in the access control system. So the actual video footage still resides on your video server, but we have a bookmark in the access control software, so you can go back to that. You can click the icon to it when you're reviewing that event, or if you're looking at a report, you can click the video link and it will pull up that video from the video server. And then down below here is the photo ID history. So this is showing us the people that have badged in recently. So you can see access granted. These are people that scanned their cards recently, and their time and date, the person's name. You can click the icon up here. It will pop up the duty log entry. So if you wanted to put a duty log entry in for that event, you could. You can also click on the person's name and it will bring up their person page. So maybe if you had, you know, a person that was showing up in here, access denied, it would show red like this. And then you can click on that person to see why. You know, they don't have the correct access level assigned. You can go in here and assign that access level to them. Or if you wanted to maybe see their recent activities, you could. So we're going to jump into the widget desktop. So the widget desktop is similar to the monitoring desktop, but it's user configurable. And that means that you can pick and choose the different widgets you want to display on the page. And that's, you can decide where you want those widgets to be, what you want those widgets to be, and kind of, you know, custom design the page to your likings. So I do have a video on here I'm going to play for you for that widget desktop.
In this video, you will learn what a widget desktop is and what it is used for, how to compose a widget desktop, the function and proper use of each widget, how to access help information on widgets, how to access the widget desktop and load an existing desktop, and how to create widget desktop groups. The widget desktop is a completely customizable workspace that displays real-time information from S2 ecosystem products. System administrators create and save named layouts containing widgets that meet the monitoring needs of system users. It is similar to the monitoring desktop, but is completely customized and supports multiple displays. Each widget in the layout has a specific purpose and can be sized and arranged to fit the needs of the user. Let's start by examining our sample layout. Our sample layout consists of 8 widgets: an activity log, an event log, a portal unlock widget, a clock, 3 camera views, and a duty log entry widget. These widgets are arranged into an orderly layout and have been configured to provide a representative example of the types of system data and functionality that can be provided to monitoring personnel through the use of a widget desktop. Now we'll take an in-depth look at how this widget desktop was composed and configured. We'll start by selecting Setup from the main menu, and then we'll choose Widget Desktops, and then Compose to enable editing. You can edit existing layouts or use one as a template by selecting from this list and clicking OK. In this case, however, we'll click Cancel and start with an empty desktop. Before we start, let's look at the menu and layout properties that we can control. These options allow you to customize the items that appear in the desktop menu. The Snap to Grid option displays spacing guidelines that assist with the sizing and alignment of widgets. We'll turn on the Snap to Grid option. When we turn on the Snap to Grid option, it displays a matrix of guidelines over an empty desktop. These guidelines are useful for resizing and aligning widgets when we are building a new widget desktop layout. Now, we'll begin by adding widgets to our sample desktop. Start by clicking the Desktop button. Select the widget you want to add from the Desktop menu. We'll start by adding an activity log to our sample widget desktop. The activity log is a complete record of events in the NetBox system. There are many different types of log entries. Examples include access granted, access denied, held door, and forced door. This widget mirrors the capability of a NetBox activity log, and it includes active video links. When in compose mode, all widgets can be resized by clicking and dragging on the corners, as well as moved by clicking and dragging on the top bar. In the top left corner of the activity log, you will notice 2 icons. The icon on the right is for the compose properties. The icon on the left is for the view properties. The Compose Properties panel presents a number of options that modify the appearance and operation of the widget. The title field allows you to designate the text that appears at the top of the activity log widget. The next 4 checkboxes are used to allow the user of the widget desktop to close, minimize, move, or resize the widget. If there are multiple partitions on the controller you are monitoring, you can click the Allow Multiple Partitions Viewing checkbox to give the user the ability to monitor all partitions. A useful option on this screen is Allow Filtering. The Allow Filtering option displays filter tools in the top right-hand corner of the widget. You can use these tools to limit the widget to show just the items you are interested in. You can type directly into the dynamic text filter, and the content will change immediately and automatically. Or you can use the drop-down to filter by broad category. Use the Clear Filter button to remove all filters. If we had selected the configurable option in the Compose Properties window, we would be allowed to access the view properties in both Compose mode and monitoring mode. And since we checked Allow Filtering in the Compose Properties window, the View Properties window displays tools that can be used to automatically filter what is shown in the widget. If these filters are set and saved when you compose the widget desktop, they will automatically be applied when the user launches this desktop in monitoring mode. Also, if we had selected the Configurable and Allow Filtering checkboxes in the Compose Properties window, the user would have access to the View Properties window and be able to use this set of filter tools in monitoring mode. Note that if we had not checked the Allow Filtering option in the Compose Properties window, the View Properties window would contain no options. Let's move the activity log and make room for the next widget. Next, we'll add an event widget. The event widget displays information about events that are currently active or awaiting operator intervention. You can acknowledge events from this widget. The Compose properties for the event widget are very similar to those of the activity log widget. Important options here are the configurable and allow filtering checkboxes. These options in the event widget behave the same way as they do in the activity log widget. If events that are linked to video are displayed in the event widget, the system will automatically generate a companion camera view widget. When we click on the camera icon in the event widget, the camera view displays the recorded video of the event, and we see that someone accesses the supply closet. Let's move the event log, and then we'll manually add our first camera view widget. The camera view widget displays video from one or more selected cameras. Camera views can represent a single camera or multiple cameras in a matrix. The specific capabilities of the widget depend on the underlying VMS that manages the camera or cameras involved. Let's set the view properties for this widget. As with other widgets, you can choose whether or not to monitor multiple partitions, if applicable. Use the aspect ratio drop-down menu to choose between 4:3 and widescreen presentation. The View Type menu allows you to control how many cameras are displayed in the widget. When single camera is selected, the selection menu allows you to pick which camera in your VMS system you wish to view. If one of the multi-camera view types is selected, the selection menu will allow you to choose from a list of views that have been created in your VMS system. For this camera view widget, we have selected a widescreen, single camera view that defaults to the lobby camera. Now, let's examine the Compose properties for this widget. The first thing we'll do is enter a new title for the widget. We'll check the Is a Camera Monitor option. This allows the widget to display linked video from the activity log and event widgets. We'll also set this widget to be the default camera monitor because this is the camera view we want to use to display all event video. The Switch to Linked Camera on Event option will display all event video in this camera monitor in real time. We'll set the widget to display the ID photo of people who are gaining access and set the ID photos to display for 15 seconds. And last, we'll choose the option that will allow this widget to play event video by clicking the icons in the activity log. After adjusting the size and position a bit, we can click on any video icon in the event log or activity log and see the video in the camera view widget. Now, we'll add the next two camera view widgets. We'll open the View Properties panel and select the Parking Lot PTZ camera. And we'll open the Compose Properties panel and change the title of the widget. Let's move this widget into place and create the third camera view as well. Next, we'll add the Portal Unlock widget. The Portal Unlock widget allows the operator to select a portal from the drop-down menu and to manually create scheduled lock and unlock actions and temporarily unlock the portal. The 4 buttons on the bottom of the widget will perform different actions on the selected portal. The Favorites button will add the selected portal to the Favorites list. The Momentary Unlock button will unlock the portal as if someone had presented valid credentials. A common use of this function is to unlock a portal to allow guests to enter. The Unlock Portal button is used to indefinitely lock or unlock a portal, and the Scheduled button is used to manage scheduled actions. The next widget we'll add is the clock. The clock displays the current date and time and lets you choose between an analog or digital presentation. The View Properties panel allows you to customize colors and number styles of the widget. You can also add time-based reminders by clicking the Add button. Simply select the time of the reminder, then select an alarm sound from the drop-down menu. You can add a text message that will pop up on screen and click OK to create your alarm. We'll select the digital presentation. Next, we'll add one last widget. The Duty Log Entry widget allows the operator to make a notation in the duty log. Messages entered into the text field and saved will also appear in the activity log. Now, let's look at some of the other widgets that are available. The Alarm Workflow widget is used to monitor and acknowledge events. The Auto Monitor widget provides a summary view of abnormal system status. Events that require acknowledgement are represented, as are device connection issues. Repeated recent access control failures also generate an indication that age is out. The Elevator Status widget allows the operator to monitor the status of and operate selected elevators. Operations include momentary unlock and schedule editing. The Explore widget is a web browser window for which the widget desktop can specify the URL. This widget can, for example, display content from a corporate website, news site, or local weather site. The Floor Plans widget displays building floor plans configured in the system. It allows in-display access to portals, cameras, or temperature sensors that have been added to the floor plan. The Intrusion Panel widget lists all available intrusion panels in selected partitions. Monitoring personnel can use the widget to view configuration and status information for the panels. The Passback Grace widget is used to grace people from passback and tailgate violations. Once an individual is graced, his or her next card read will be allowed and no violations will be triggered. The Photo ID History widget provides a recent history of cardholders who have presented their credentials to selected readers in the system. Each history tile displays the person's name, photo, if available, date and time of the access, as well as any notes in the person's record. The Photo History ID widget can be configured to display activity for multiple or specific activity logs, and also to display either a historical record of accesses or just the most recent access. A red background indicates a denied access attempt. The Portal Status widget allows the operator to monitor the status of and operate selected portals. Operations include scheduled, temporary, and timed unlock and portal disable. When the Statistics Block widget is displayed on the widget desktop, monitors can use it to view system information. For example, they can view statistics on unacknowledged alarms and devices in communication failure. The Status widget is used to view the status of all configured nodes and system resources. This information is presented in an expandable, hierarchical format that is color-coded to indicate state. The Threat Level widget can display or change the current threat level for the default location and sublocations if configured in the selected partition. Note the eye icon in the lower right-hand corner of the widget desktop. There is an information button in the bottom right-hand corner of the widget desktop. Click it to display comprehensive help documentation. One item to take note of is the summary of available widgets. This provides detailed information on the function and operation of each widget. Now that we have composed our widget desktop, let's lock it down so users can't change it. Start by clicking the default widget properties button. We'll deselect all of these options. Now, we'll apply these properties to all of the existing widgets in our layout. Next, click the Menu and Layout Properties button and turn off the grid lines. And finally, we'll save our layout by selecting Save Layout from the desktop menu. And now we'll exit by choosing Exit from the desktop menu. To access and load a saved widget desktop, click Monitor and Live Monitoring and Widget Desktop. The default widget desktop for the user will display. Note that a selected widget desktop can be set in the person's record for each individual user. Now we'll select the Look from the desktop menu and load our sample layout. And here you see that our layout is now available to be monitored. Now we'll exit and learn how to create widget desktop groups. To restrict who can view which widget desktops, we will build widget desktop groups and assign them to user roles. We then assign an appropriate user role to a person. We can also set the default widget desktop for a person uniquely in the person's record. To create a new widget desktop group, select Group from the Setup, Widget Desktops menu. Click Add. Enter a name for your widget desktop group. Select the widget desktops you wish to add to your group from the list of available layouts. Then, add them to the selected layout list. Click Save to save your widget desktop group. To review, this video covered what a widget desktop is and what it is used for, how to compose a widget desktop, the function and proper use of each widget, how to access help information on widgets, how to access the widget desktop and load an existing desktop, and how to create widget desktop groups.
That was a lot. Do you guys have any questions on the widget desktop? I know there are some terms in there that you might not be familiar with. So I was going to have you guys do a little lab, create your own widget desktop in the system. I know we have like another, an hour and 40 minutes, so I kind of wanted to get a feel for what your roles were in the system, what you're doing the most. I want to, try to focus on what you guys are doing primarily in the system versus things you might not be using. So I don't know if you guys are, monitoring the system, or if you're doing more like badging, card holder administration stuff, or if it's a mix, we can certainly touch on both.
I know we do reports, trying to pull reports
Okay.
for different things, and also if there's a way that if a door in a specific room or whatever, when that happens, is there a way to get notified for that specific door through email, text, or that type of thing?
Meaning like if a door was opened or left opened, or
If anyone accesses, whether any type of an event for that door,
Mhm.
like if somebody were
Sure.
to invalid access, deny access.
Yep, okay. So, yeah, we can touch on events. So these are, this is the event monitor, so this is gonna show you what events are currently active in the system. But these are all configurable in the configuration. So typically, this would, Access Security or integrator would program the events based on what you're trying to do. So there are a number of different things you can do with events. As he mentioned, he wants an email alert to go out every time somebody accesses a specific door. So you could create an event in the system, and then there are a number of different actions that you can apply to that event. So one of those being an email. You can send an email, but these are the different types of actions that you can associate with an event. So when that event gets triggered, say by a door getting accessed by somebody or forced open or whatever, you can have the event do something other than just pop up on that screen. You can have it do something else. So here are the different actions that you can associate with the event. So you can change intrusion panels, so your alarm panels you can deactivate or activate through an event activation. An output, you can activate an output which is on your field devices, so you can actually tell that output to activate. Maybe you want to have an alarm go off or a light turn on or something like that. You can activate an output based on that event. You can arm your alarm panels if you want. The top section here is primarily for alarm panels and intrusion panels. And then you can activate, deactivate outputs. You can unlock portals, you can relock portals. You can send, video record events to your video management system. You can tell it to record video based on the event activation. And the Magic Monitor is another piece. You can have different streams or different views pushing to your Magic Monitor display, which we'll talk about shortly. Save to activity log is exactly what it says. Saves it to the activity log. And then down here you have send email, send SMS message. Based on that event activation, you can have it either send an email or a text message based on that event getting activated. And then you have the set threat level, so you could have a push button set up in the system, or a keypad command set up in the system that will change your system threat level. We have some schools now that are issuing attendance to their staff, so if they have some, threat at the school, they just push the button and it locks the school down.
You skipped a few. Can you touch on what's like dog the portal, and then those two pulses? What are those?
So Dog the Portal is a new, it's a new action for the remote exit devices. Basically to unlock the exit device. And then which one were you asking about?
Pulse output and pulse output group.
So pulse output, it's kind of like activate output, but it just sends a pulse to it, a momentary pulse to the output. And then pulse output group, if you have a group of outputs configured in the system that you want to, pulse, you could have it send it to that group.
I'm trying to think of a good example, what would be on an output, sometimes a light or a bell.
Yeah,
sounder.
that's kind of what I said, a light or a buzzer, or, an alarm, You could put, anything electrical pretty much if you want. You can have an output activate or deactivate. Does that answer your question in
Yes,
regards to
that's
the
real helpful.
event?
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, when if you had an event set up with an email alert or a text alert, anytime the trigger, in this case the door being accessed, would trigger the event, which would send that notification to you.
Great.
Do you guys have any other questions about the widget desktop? I know there's quite a few things in here. There's quite a few different widgets you can have configured on your widget desktop, and you may or may not use all of the widgets in the widget desktop, but they're available in case your situation warrants using those widgets. But now, are you guys monitoring? Who's doing monitoring? Who has like a monitoring role in the system? Like you do?
Very little, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, the widget desktop is kind of geared towards people that are monitoring the system. It was more or less designed for somebody to actively be monitoring the system. So, I mean, you can obviously open the software and load the page, set it up to your likings, but this is essentially where you would be doing your system monitoring most of the time, either on this page or back on the monitoring desktop, which I showed you earlier. And here, the monitoring desktop is like a static widget desktop. You can't really configure the widgets, but they're most of the widgets that you can put on the widget desktop are on this page. So if you didn't want to have to worry about configuring widget desktop, maybe you're just logging in occasionally to look at something. Maybe you want to see why somebody's getting denied access, or you wanted to take a look at the system real quick. You could just go to the monitoring desktop, get a glimpse at what's going on, maybe acknowledge an event, pull up video. You can do that right here. But there are a couple of other widgets in here as well that you can kind of go through these tabs. You have cameras, camera views, camera monitor, So these are for obviously monitoring cameras, so you can pull up different cameras there. And then floor plans are basically your building maps. I don't know why the flash wasn't loaded. Mike, do you have any floor? Yeah, you do. So this is another widget, the floor plan widget, which basically allows you to upload an image of your facility into the system, and then you can configure the graphic with your resources. So you can put camera icons, you can put door icons, temperature sensors. There are, you know, a number of different things you can put on it, and it will show you, you know, the status of those when you're on that floor plan. This is the events again. So in the event monitoring widget, there are a couple of other buttons that I haven't really touched on yet. So if your events are configured in a way where you want the user to acknowledge them, they can be configured so that users don't have to. But if you want the event to be acknowledged by a system user, you can configure it that way. When that event gets activated and it requires acknowledgement, or you know, you have it configured in a way where somebody can acknowledge it. You can click you'll see the little checkbox over here. You can click on to acknowledge the event, and you can see after I clicked acknowledge, it went away. Some events, depending on what triggered them, the event will go away if that trigger has already been deactivated, if that makes sense. So for instance, if you had an event set up for a door held open and the door has shut, the event will stay on there until somebody goes and acknowledges it. And once you click acknowledge, it will, you know, go away. If that door is still held open though, it's still gonna stay on there. It will be acknowledged, but it will stay on there until somebody actually closes the door. So again, these are configurable based on your needs. You know, they would configure the events to display there if you needed them or acknowledged. Another icon is the video link. So if you have an event that has a camera associated with it, you'll have a video link here, and you can click on that. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up the live video. And if there's a camera record action with the event, you'll also see this icon. And if you click that icon, it's going to pull up the camera recording based on that event. You can also configure the events to have operator messages. So if an event occurs and you want somebody that monitors the system to do something based on that event, you can put instructions on the event when the event gets configured. You can you know, write the instructions and call so and so, you know, to look into this or whatever. You know, dispatch security to go check this, or you know, whatever you want it to say. But you can program the events with instructions for the operator. The events can also be scheduled to or configured to require a duty log entry. So if you wanted the operator to not only acknowledge the event, but you wanted them to explain why that event was activated, you could require a duty log entry as well. Just to touch on some of the other features in the monitor menu. I didn't didn't show you guys that earlier, but if you click on one of the menu items, it will pin the menu on the screen. And you'll see that little arrow right there. And if you click it again, it will unpin the menu. So you have cameras, which if you click on that, it's going to give you a list of cameras that are integrated with your S2 system. So you can click on one of these, it will pull up the camera. Camera view, if your system's programmed with camera views, you would have another list here. You can click on it and it's going to show you a view of cameras depending on how it's configured. You know, it could be a quad display or you know, some other layout of cameras. The activity log is the activity log with nothing else. You can, you know, filter. You can type in a keyword. So if you wanted to see who was denied access, you can type in denied. You can, you know, whatever you want to type in up here. If you wanted to see when Eric, you know, what Eric did in the system recently, you could do that. And then over here is your category filter, so you can select what you want to see in that activity log. Floor plan, which showed you that widget, but this is the floor plan in its own window. The monitoring homepage was that page that we were on when we first logged in. Monitoring desktop, widget desktop, and then the portal status. So this the portal status widget might be helpful to see what your current, you know, portal states are. You want to see, you know, the main, you know, you want to check the status of the main entrance door. You can go to this portal status. Okay, yeah, it's held open right now. It will show you, you know, the name of the portal, the location, if your system's configured with locations, and then threat level, the current threat level for that particular portal. So I haven't really touched on threat levels too much, but you could configure the system in a way where you have locations and sub-locations. You can apply threat levels to just specific areas and not necessarily the whole system. So if you wanted to lock down just a certain area, you could select that specific area when you select your threat level change. And then your actions over here, same thing as the portal unlock widget, the same actions. You have the momentary unlock, you have the sustained unlock and lock button, and then schedule, and then the fourth one over is disable portal. So that could be used in a couple of cases. Typically, if a user wants to disable a portal from being used, you could use that. When I was at Pfizer, we would use that occasionally to lock down some labs that, you know, we didn't want people accessing. We would actually go in here and disable the portal. Maybe there was some, you know, situation in that room and nobody was allowed access. You can go in here and disable the portal. Another thing you can do with this disable is if you click it, it disables it, and then you re-enable it. If there are any override schedules for that, it will clear those overrides when you do that. So if the portal's not functioning properly, or there's an override on it, and you don't know what state it's supposed to be in, when it gets re-enabled, it will go back to its normal state. And then this, the last column over here is your schedule column. So if the door was being impacted by an override schedule, it would show you that schedule right here.